Welcome, everyone, to this explainer. I am so pumped to get into this one today. We're bringing a forensic level of breakdown to literally one of the most intense highlight reels of the FIFA World Cup 2026. We're looking at the absolute clash between the USA and Australia. And look, we aren't just going to recap what happened, right? We're going to dissect the anatomy of this victory. We'll figure out exactly how the momentum shifted, how that tactical pressure was applied, and where this massive match was ultimately won. Okay, let's dive into this. Right off the bat, the broadcast sets the stakes, right? Quote, "This is the United States of America against Australia." You can just feel the gravity in the commentator's voice. I mean, it's not just a game, it's a massive international collision on the sport's absolute biggest stage. The atmosphere is electric, the pressure is immense, and from the very first whistle, both squads know exactly what's on the line. Section 1, the opening matchup. So, here's our match flow. We start with the opening whistle and some serious early defensive tension. Moving into the mid-game, a forced error breaks the deadlock. Then, a late-game surge brings a pretty controversial second goal, which leads us right into the absolute chaos of the final minutes. Taking a look at those opening moments, the broadcast highlights the first save of the afternoon. Now, this is a really vital piece of the puzzle. Australia didn't just sit back and let the US dictate the pace, They applied early offensive pressure, forcing the USA to defend right out of the gate. But by securing that first save, the USA established a rock-solid defensive foundation, which really frustrated the Australian attack. In a high-stakes World Cup scenario like this, absorbing that early pressure without buckling is psychologically massive. They weathered the initial storm, and that perfectly set up their impending offensive momentum. Section 2. Dest's surge, the forced error. And this brilliantly illustrates how aggressive momentum forces fatal defensive mistakes. The commentary booth captures it perfectly, saying, Dest has nicely returned the ball, he makes a good surge, and then pure chaos. Oh, and it's in. Notice the language here. It's not some clean, calculated strike from a forward. It's the direct result of a powerful surge. Dest pushes the pace so intensely, just rushing right into the danger zone, that the opposing defense simply shatters under the pressure, which leads us to exactly how the ball went in. The strict mechanics of the game define an own goal as inadvertently putting the ball into your own net. In this heartbreaking, critical instance for Australia, that player is Cameron Burgess. Now, he doesn't put it in out of a lack of skill, right? It happens because Dest's relentless surge created a situation where a panicked, split-second defensive reaction was literally the absolute only option available. It's a brutal break for Australia, but honestly a tactical triumph for the USA's forward pressure. But hey, Australia doesn't immediately fold. The records show evidence of terrific defending shortly after. DeLupo tries to set up a play, Lay sends in a good delivery, and the defense actually holds strong. This is a crucial micro-moment in the timeline. It shows a brief period of defensive stabilization by Australia right after that disastrous own goal. They're fighting desperately to stay in the match, just trying to get their feet under them before the USA can strike again. Section 3. The offside drama. Now, what's really interesting about the slide is how we can break down the emotional roller coaster of this exact moment into 3 clinical steps. Step 1, the USA executes a highly practiced tactical play. It's rehearsed, it's incredibly sharp, and it seemingly cracks the defense wide open. But then, step 2, the flag goes up for offside. The celebration just stops cold on the pitch. The broadcast notes, the flag is up, tell you what, he might be okay. Talk about pure, breathless suspense. The entire momentum of the game is hanging on a single official's review. And finally, step 3, the ruling comes down. The goal scorer was not in an offside position, he is ruled onside. That rehearsed move pays off in the most dramatic, heart-stopping fashion possible. And then comes the definitive ruling. Goal is correct. With those 3 words, the USA takes a commanding lead. USA 2, Australia 0. That goal doesn't just change the scoreline. It completely alters the psychology of the remaining minutes. The USA has solidified their dominant position, and Australia is forced into absolute, total desperation mode. Section 4. Scrambles and nutmegs. Okay, let's rapidly run through these final actions to really feel the desperate pace of the pitch. The structured tactics completely fracture here. First, Balogun is caught inside his own half, unable to get a shot away early enough. Then, out of nowhere, Medvedev pulls off a little nutmeg, just a flash of brilliant, cheeky skill amidst this intense, suffocating pressure. We've got Italiano firing off a dinked cross that stays dangerously live in the box. Sutter misses his chance, and Jury desperately tries to finish, but just can't get a clean shot. It is a relentless, chaotic, back-and-forth scramble, as both sides are literally exhausting every last ounce of energy in the final seconds. Section 5. Final whistle. USA prevails. So, the crucial point is, it all comes down to the number 2. The broadcast enthusiastically declares, the USA have done it, 2 wins out of 2. That number, it represents perfect execution in this stage of the tournament. It means taking the momentum from Death's early surge, surviving that terrifying offside scare, navigating the chaotic final scrambles without breaking, and coming out with maximum points. Which leaves us with this final burning thought. What does a dominant 2 wins out of 2 actually mean for the rest of the USA's World Cup run? When a team forces critical errors through sheer momentum, survives high-pressure offside drama without losing focus, and effectively manages the chaotic scrambles of a desperate opponent, all while maintaining a perfect record, they aren't just winning games, they are sending a very clear message to the rest of the world. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep this anatomy of a victory in your mind as we watch the rest of this thrilling tournament unfold.